Welcome to Aliens with JW, the podcast where aliens have conversations with humans. Today's episode is with the author of the award winning book, Seeds of Leadership, a transformative work about developing the leader within. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me as well. Let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to create Seeds of Leadership?
That's a very good question. I think it's the experience I have throughout my career where I've seen many people who got into leadership roles and they don't really know how to navigate it. They really didn't have a blueprint, didn't have any guide. So many failed unnecessarily. And therefore, what I did is I compiled my journey in particular, the challenges, the struggles, and the breakthrough that I had. And I thought that if I could share that with people, that they could advance their career or have more success as they navigate the role of being a leader, because being a leader is not easy. Leadership is service. Leadership is being there for people and caring for other people.
And thinking about your title, how did you come up with the title for your book?
I look at life in terms of seeds. You plant a seeds, and if you do a good job watering and nurturing it, it will grow. So when I was writing my book, my original cover had a plant that shows a progression of the seed being planted and growing over time. So really, from day one, I anchored all my thoughts around: if you plant a seed, you work on it, and it takes time, you'll nurture it. That particular thing that you're actually working on is gonna grow and bloom and become a plant that could provide a shade for other people, that could provide uh, an opportunity for other people.
And when you hear the word seeds of leadership, what does that mean to you?
Seed of leadership meant an intentional act of doing something and focusing on investing the time to work on improving yourself or helping other people grow. And that's really the genesis of it. Nothing in life is easy in terms of, I don't believe in shortcut. I don't believe in quick wins or easy success. I believe that everything in life requires you to make a decision, requires you to take action, requires you to keep things moving in the right direction. You'll meet success and failure along the way, but you need to be persistent. Therefore, I think it's important to to show the concept that if you plant a seed and you work hard, that seed is going to grow. But if you don't, if you didn't water it, you didn't nurture it, it's going to wilt and it's not going to yield the result you want.
And how did your personal leadership journey shape the ideas in this book?
Well, I have to give the credit to my father. I grew up working for him. We have a small convenience store when I was growing up. And I remember as young as 5 years old, I was around him, working with him and helping him out. I call it working, but at 5 years old, I don't necessarily think I was working. I was just around helping and learning the role and helping a small job with my dad. And being around him, I get to observe how he interact with everyone, people that works with him, not for him. He doesn't call for him, works with him, and how he interact with his customer or client. And the people works for him, he really focused on working alongside them. Well, back in the days, I don't really know that it's called leadership. In fact, I didn't really have any clue that it's leadership per se. But I do believe that as I observe him, I was like modeling what I would do when I grow up. So as I grow up to be a young man and become a contributor to society, I focused on what I learned from my dad and making sure that I'm modeling the way. And in fact, I learned the word modeling the way much later in my career. but I always emulate what my dad was doing. Anything that I learned from him that's good, I implemented. Right. So to me, I really have to give credit to my father that I became who I am today as far as a leader that cares about others.
I have to say the same thing for me. I have to give it to my father as well. Like he helped me become the leader that I am today by modeling the way. And that leads me to my next question. Was there a moment in your life when you realized you had to nurture the leader within you?
Yes, there's many times in my career that I have to really nurture and persevere. A career, when we envision it, is like one straight line going up. That's like what everyone think. I'm just gonna move up, move up, move up. But many times in my journey, I had to like I have setback. I would call them setback. I was working toward a promotion and I didn't get it. Not only did I not get it 1 year, I didn't get it 2 years, I didn't get it 3 years. And during those moments, you really have to dig deep and and learn what is it you need to work on, because sometimes it's it's something that you don't know that you need to work on, and other times it's the situation you're in. But nonetheless, in those moments, I always think about the people I serve. Even though things are not going the way I expected, I don't quickly abandon them and leave and go somewhere else, because I do believe in service. As a leader, you're serving your constituent and your people. So in many those junction in my journey, that I didn't run away. I focus on learning what I need to learn. And there was one situation took me 3 years to get promoted to the next level, but I really persevered. I really worked hard, and I really showed my team or multiple teams thereafter that when you're faced with life challenges, sometimes running away is not the solution. It doesn't make things easier, because I believe that if you walk away from a situation, you miss the opportunity of learning the lessons. And if you move away and you end up in the same situation, you just miss a whole lot of opportunity that you could have otherwise gained if you stick around. So I did that. I stick around. After 3 years, I end up getting promoted, and that just goes to show that perseverance, hard work, and learning what you need to work on eventually gives you a little bit of that breakthrough.
Talking about hard work, were there ever moments when you wanted to quit writing your book? What pulled you through?
Quit writing the book. Yeah, it took me 8 years to publish a second book. So it's not about quitting. It's about getting inspiration to do it on top of all the work that you're doing, working in school, grad school, full time, studying, working full time, and raising a family. I think all of those, and being a community person that contributes your time to your community, each one of them has its pull and gravitational pull from you. And the reality of life is we all have the same 24 hours. We need to figure out where to invest our time. And of course, things like writing book is one of those things that if times become constraint, I would put the book aside. And it took me 8 years to actually get to finalize and publish it. And I'm glad I did, because that goes to show that perseverance over time help you achieve your goal. And I'm so glad that I did that, because the 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 book not only is published, a lot of people that are reading the book are giving me feedback and comment of how it actually helped them. Even my
And
own nephew, who's a dentist, as a dentist, I wouldn't imagine that he would he has a need to read a book. He has his own practice, but nonetheless, he read the book. He spent the time having discussion with me about the chapters that he read and his thought process about it, and how each of the chapter have helped him.
and talking about the book and the chapters, and reading your book, it made me it reminded me of the times when you helped me in my own career in dropping seeds throughout my career. I felt like the first time we met, I was interviewing to be an intern for you, and you gave me some seeds of knowledge that helped transform my life. And then fast forward. years later, you're one of the people that dropped seeds in my life about podcasting. So I would say your book is so transformative, and it's helping people nurture the leader within them. And I'm an example of that as well. So I want to say thank you for that as well, for helping me as well during my career.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate it. I think it's one of the reason why I wrote the book. If I could help one person, if I could show one person how to overcome challenges and move the needle in the right direction, it the book have done its job.
And my next question would be is for you, what has been one of the most rewarding parts of writing your book?
I think the most rewarding part of writing my book is to see my story unfold. Right when you finally wrote the book, it's not a concept anymore because I've compiled all the stories on notes and notebooks, and I never really put all of them together. But when I put all of them together, now it's not just a thought. It's not a thought. It's now a physical form, and being able to read my story back to myself, which I had done many times as going through the edit, it's it's a different experience. It it I don't know if it's, yeah, I could say it feel good, but it's just different looking at my story from a third party perspective. I don't know if that explained, but it really gives me a better perspective of how my story come across and how my story would land or stick with my audience.
Yeah, it came across perfectly for me because I did the same thing when I wrote my books. I come on reading them, and I kind of like got like a third person perspective on it, and it kind of like it also helped me change my perspective on so many different things from looking at it from different lenses. And so I think that leads me to my next question. What have you learned about yourself through writing this book?
Biggest learning. I'm not a writer. In fact, when I was young, the language grades are the worst one for me. I have to. That's honest, honest assessment. My best grades are math and sciences. Those are really high, but language is always really bad. So if you ask me when I was younger in elementary or high school, and that I'll be an author, my answer would be no way, no way. But the lesson to be learned is, as we move throughout our journey and we focus on improving ourselves, there's always hope. There's always hope, because I'm a perfect example of it. I'm not a good writer. Even throughout my career, I would have managers telling me that you're really good at the work that you do. You're really inspiring as a leader, but you're really not a good writer. You're okay communicator. But then I took that as a challenge or as an opportunity to continue to improve myself. And I've seen how my writing have improved. In fact, when I did my second grad school at Seton Hall, I did a master of arts in strategic communication and leadership. And the reason why I enrolled in that program back in 2006 was I want to improve myself as a leader. But little did I know that that program required a lot of writing, a lot of writing. You have writing every week. You have research paper. You have team projects, and it really shook me to the core when I'm getting uh, my paper back and I got a C plus, right, or B minus. It shook me to the core that how am I going to be able to do this? But then I go back to my original core principle that you need to work hard, you need to push through life challenges, and you need to prove yourself that you could improve. And long story short, when I graduated from the program, I actually graduated with honor. The program is an executive program. There's 32 of us when we started. There were 26 of us when we graduated, and there were only 10 people who graduated with honor. And I made the cut. And I told my daughter back then that that's probably one of my proudest moments, that I graduated honor, and compared that to when I did my MBA. And not to brag, I got a 394 GPA when I graduated. That didn't feel as good as when I graduated with my second master's, because I took a challenge that I know is significantly harder because I'm not a good writer, I'm an okay communicator, and challenge myself to improve. And but be, with my belief that when you put your heart and mind to it, that you could accomplish it, that I actually end up graduating with honors. And to me, even if I look back at my life right now, that's one of the pivotal moments that I was able to say, you need to put the work, and sometimes you're gonna win, sometimes you're gonna learn. In that moment, I had a breakthrough. I won. I graduated with honor. And even though that GPA is lower than my 394 for my MBA, I still reflect on that moment as one of the proudest moments. When I walk across the stage, I was like, I did it. I did it. Even when other people thought I couldn't, but I did it.
I relate to that because of for me it was very similar. Like when I got my bachelor's degree, I was like it was exciting, but when I got my master's degree, it was more rewarding because I was doing something that I wasn't really great at. I wasn't really great at research and analytics and mathematics. So to get my master's degree, I had to literally do a research project on quantum on different types of analytics and algorithms to make my case to present my ideas. And when I did it and I got my grade, I felt so fulfilled in myself that I accomplished something that I didn't think was in me that I could do. And I just challenged myself. I relate with that as well. That leads me to my next question. Was there moments during writing this book that that your own idea surprised you?
My own idea that surprised me. Um, I think when I decided I want to put reflection question, as you could see, every chapter closed with reflection question. That wasn't the original idea when I first wrote my book. I wrote my book straightforward, just telling a concept, sharing a story. And then as I reviewed it before I even handed for publishing, I said to myself, many times in my career, I reflect on things that I'm working on, and I've been still to this date for over 10 years now. I practice what I call self-reflection at the end of the week. I spend 30 minutes thinking through what works throughout the week, why did they work, and what could I learn from it? And what didn't work throughout the week? Why didn't work? And what must I learn from it? By doing that sort of self-reflection exercise, I'm able to like put myself in a better position the next time around, because even especially in those situations where I felt I didn't perform up to the level that I'm able to, or at the best that I could, I'm able to reflect and assess and be a better person or perform better when the same situation comes next time. And I always said, mistakes are opportunity for us to learn lessons, and lessons are best to be learned at the moment you got the experience, not way after. Because when you have the experience and you failed and you learn that the lesson, it sticks with you. It stays with you longer, and it becomes a part of your memory.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you put that part in the reflection part in your book because when I was reading it, that was the part that's really hit home to me because it was I was reading your story and then I was had to reflect it to my own experiences and it really forced me to dive deeper to understand myself and to learn more about who I was. And I think my favorite part was I think it was like the do not list.
Yep, do not do less.
Yes, that was one of my favorite parts. But I loved it because it focused on both sides, the
Yep.
positives and what you needed to improve
Yes.
on. And that was like one of the biggest parts that I felt like every chapter was a great reflective moment that makes you reflect to become a better leader internally. And it helped you nurture your seeds. So I'm so happy that you added that part to your book. I think my next question would be, because I know you are an award-winning author. When when you got your first award, how did you feel in the moment?
Uh, it it blows my mind. It blows my mind. I never expected it. When I first thought about signing up or applying for book awards consideration, I knew in my mind I wouldn't even qualify. I wouldn't even place. I never thought in my wildest dream that I would write a book that could win awards. Like I said, if you brought me back in my high school and college times and say, "Will, you're gonna be an award-winning author?" I would tell you that was a lie. That would be a lie. But like anything else in life that I learned, you won't have a chance until you put your ticket in. You won't have a chance until you gave it a try. And this is one of those things when I applied for each of the award consideration, I went in believing in the work that I did. And my thought process was, if they find value in the work that I did, then it's a blessing. Like I always say, post this whenever I get an award. Glory to God. God's the one who actually, blessed me with this, not me, on my own accord. And thanks to my publisher too for helping me getting my message across. Emerald Lakes. I think Tara is my publisher for that book. I thank her for it, and Emerald Lakes. And truly it's I don't know. I'm speechless. The book didn't only win one award; it won so many. I couldn't believe it. Even to this date, I just count my blessing every time I see an email. Like today, I got an email again. I was a finalist on another one, and they'll decide who's the top three. Just being considered, just to be like a finalist, is it's I don't know. I'm speechless. And there's one person in the London Book Festival. I was a runner up in the London Book Festival, and I checked the list and I saw the winner. So I actually reached out to her. Her name is Alia Luria, and I actually reached out to her on LinkedIn, connected with her, and explained to her why am I reaching out to her. I said, "You won the London Book Festival. I'm a runner up. I want to invite you to be a guest on my podcast." And thankfully, she obliged, and we had our recording last week, and it was a great experience to learn from the best. I always want to learn from the best because I think that's the best way to improve yourself. Similar to my favorite athletes, Stephen Curry and Michael Jordan, they spend so much time in the gym improving themselves. They're the first one in, last one out. And I used to coach basketball, I told my player, if they could shoot 8 out of 10, why not try 9 out of 10, right? And sometimes people say perfection is not attainable. It's okay, but it's not to say you don't want to aspire for it. I think if we want to continue to improve ourselves and also help other people, we need to continually challenge ourselves. And I'm speechless until now, and continue to just count all my blessings.
Yes, congratulations on all the hard work. When I read the book and I compared it to other leadership books, the awards that you're getting, I truly believe that you are going to win mostly all these awards because of, from my personal experience and the books that I've read, this book hit home and it hit me in my heart. So I want to say congratulations for all your work and give you your applause for the work that you've done and
Thank you.
the people that you continue to help as well. That leads to my next question. What is some advice or wisdom you wish someone would have shared with you about writing a book?
I think my publisher Tara, um, make sure you're understanding how your words come across. As a writer, well, it's funny I'm calling myself as a writer. Uh, as a person who write a book, I wouldn't call myself a writer. As a person who wrote a book, I wrote it in my voice. I wrote it in my vision. And as I was going through editing with her, she would help me craft it in a way where my audience would understand it. That was to me was life. One of the biggest lesson as a person who wrote a book is it's not because I wrote it that way that I would expect people to understood what I said. And I said that because I'm a first generation American. I migrated. My parents were from China. They migrated to the Philippines. I was born and raised in the Philippines, but I came here as a young adult, working in the technology field. And English is my second language, but I'm okay or decent with it, but I think that I need to continue to improve it, and that's one of my key focuses to continually evolve the way I do things and continue to learn. And as I was writing my book, there are times I'm writing my book based on how how it will be received if you're born and raised in the Philippines. I would use words that even it's an English word more familiar in the Philippines. Like the one word that resonates with me, it's batch, right? The concept of batch in manufacturing is a group. In the Philippines, when I was growing up, you graduate with your batch. That means if there's 100 kids in your class, you're a batch, and your class is a section. So when I was writing my book, I would talk about I belong to this section. I graduate with this batch, and the editor was so confused. Like, what do you mean by batch? Like, what do you mean by section, right? Like, so I have to explain to her, and she has to help me reframe them. And those are some of the key learnings that I think is very important, because as I wrote my third book now, I'm co-authoring a book with five other people. As I was writing my material, I was thinking about how would it be perceived, or well received by the person reading it, because I want to make sure that people who read it could really understand the context.
For the last part, I'm going to ask you some random questions. Say the first thing that comes to you. If leadership were a song, what would be the soundtrack to your journey?
Um, Soundtrack for my journey. I'm actually not into music, but I would say "We Are a Champion." We are a champion.
That's a
We
classic.
all.
Yeah,
We are a champion. I use that for my basketball team.
yeah, that's a classic. That was a super classic for me. It meant a lot to me growing up because I played basketball as well. So that was classic for me.
That's a good question.
Yeah. If your book could speak, what would it say?
Care, care about others. I think that's a four-letter word that I really like for longest the longest time. If we could care more about others, could we be more kind to other people, the world would be a better place.
Complete the phrase. Leadership means.
Leadership aims to grow people.
If your younger self read your book today, what do you think they'll say?
I think they're going to be blown away. Will can write? Is this for real? I think that's what my younger self would say. So, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I grow. I'm proud that I actually took the chance to go on this journey, because I'm surprised I'm writing my third book already, and my fourth book is in the planning stage.
And last question, is there anything you would like to share before we end the show?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be a guest on your show. I think the parting words I have is kindness. It's extremely important. If we could just understand, have empathy on other people as we go about our day. Um, we don't know what people are going through. We don't know what burden are they carrying throughout the day. Just a little bit of a kindness is needed in this world. Thank you.
And I want to say this book is an amazing book. Is filled with a bunch of kindness and things to nurture your life. So I want to say thank you to Will for reading this book that means so much to me. And so I just want to say thank you again for that. Oh, do you want to share where people can find your book?
Amazon. You could buy it on Amazon. You could buy it in Barnes and Noble. And thank you for your support. It truly meant a lot to me. And thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Huge thank you to Will for taking the time to come on my show. If you like the conversation, feel free to share the video with a friend or a loved one. Until next time on Aliens with JW, the podcast where aliens have conversations with humans.